All right, so we're going to pretend that I'm teaching a lesson right now, and I'm sharing my screen on my Zoom. So the students are looking at this chemistry lesson while I'm talking. As you can see, Emily just changed her name inappropriately to Buzz Lightyear. So one thing I can do is I can go down here and I can click rename, and this little pop-up will appear, and I can just type the correct name, and I can directly change her name there. And you might notice, oh, Bo Peep has entered the waiting room. Unfortunately, in my class, I have an expectation that you cannot join the meeting unless you have your correct name. So I'm actually just going to ignore that request. And whoever Bo Peep is, she or he is going to have to leave the meeting and change the name to the correct name. And that's the only way I'm going to let them into the meeting. By the way, you might notice that Emily has, look who's changed her name to Buzz Lightyear once again. So what I can do this time is I can go down here to security button, and I can just uncheck rename themselves. Now my students do not have the ability to rename themselves during the meeting. And so I can still rename her, and that is exactly what I'm going to do. I'm now going to change her back to Emily Bryan. And now she won't be able to, if she tries, she will not be able to change her name again. And so we're going to wait and see what's going on in the waiting room. Did our little Bo Peep person come back in as the correct person? Oh, hang on a second. It appears that Emily has started playing some music. So I'm going to mute her. I'm just going to click the mute button. And that is going to mute her microphone, and now we don't have to listen to her disruption. We can continue on with the lesson. And let's see. Oh, wait. Emily just unmuted herself again. Okay, so at this point I can use another option. I'm going to click mute all, and I'm going to uncheck this box, allow participants to unmute themselves. Now everyone in the meeting is muted except me, and if Emily continues to push the unmute button now, she actually can't. And if, let's say I call on Emily and I want her to answer, I would actually have to go to this button here under participants and click ask to unmute. And that is the only way that she could actually turn her microphone back on for the remainder of this meeting. I see Bo Peep has come back to us as Mariana, and that's her real name. So I'm going to click admit, and I'm going to let her join the meeting at this point, now that she is using her actual name. Okay. And let's just there's Mariana. Hi, Mariana. And as you can see, Emily might be a little frustrated right now that I've muted her, so she is now trying to engage in some escalated distracted behavior. So I'm going to send her now to the waiting room. And now she's in the waiting room. And again, this is a norm that you need to explain to your students. You'll see a button here that says message for waiting room. If I click on that button, I can supposedly send chat to her. However, we've found that the students using their Chromebooks don't always have the ability to have the chat in the waiting room. So the fact that I've sent her to the waiting room, I may have to find another way to contact her or another way to have a conversation with her outside of the Zoom. Or perhaps I could use GoGuardian. If I had a GoGuardian session running, I could talk to her that way. I could send her a GoGuardian message. So I have to communicate with her somehow and let her know like what she needs to do, how she needs to change her behavior before I will let her back into this meeting. Also, if you look at the chat, speaking of the chat, I think I saw, looks like Mariana has been making some disruptive comments, nothing really terrible, but she is probably distracting everybody a little bit. So under the meeting controls here, let's see, where is that? Under security, I can turn off chat for the participants now. And now if Mariana continues to try to add something to the chat, nobody's going to see it. There's no way to delete this chat once it's out there, but at least I can prevent her from adding any more information to the chat. And once I've finished communicating with Emily, if I've been able to have some kind of communication with her and I feel like she's now able to rejoin, if she's still in the waiting room and hasn't left, I can click the admit button and let her back in to the meeting if I choose. But that, again, that's up to me. I'm in charge.